Welcome, friends, to episode number 7 of 5 Minutes with Gray Hair Dave. If you haven't figured it out by now, I'm Gray Hair Dave. Why am I Gray Hair Dave? Because I'm Dave and I have gray hair. I've been around a while. I've done podcasting for a couple of years. Actually, I think it's going on 3.5, almost 4 years now since I started podcasting. I started a long time ago with a podcast called My Journey Online, where I was going to tell people, I talked about it. I did like 6 episodes and I gave up, which really wasn't cool, but it was okay. It is what it is. But it was about how to make money online, because at the time I was furloughed from the company I work for now, and eventually laid off. And I needed something to do because it was during the COVID times, and a lot of people started podcasting during COVID. So did I. And I really liked it. And then I found out that I really, really liked recording and editing and all those types of things, especially the editing portion. And I started another one called Memories from the Mouse. It was I was interviewing current and past cast members from the Walt Disney Company. I enjoyed that show a lot. I only did 8, and then I started the process of going back to the company. So I decided I better stop for a while. Long story short, we'll talk about that story at another time. Long story short, I was told I needed to stop that podcast or not restart that podcast, and all would be well with the world for me. Oh, wow, okay. And at the time, I'd been thinking a lot about my brother Tim. My brother Tim was a Christian poet, and he's published 3 books, or had 3 books published, and I wanted him to talk about it. I wanted him to talk about his faith. I wanted him to talk about his poetry. I wanted people to hear him. And Tim is not an extrovert. Tim is a quiet man, but he's a man of faith. And we did that for 2 years. Every week for 2 years. We took 1 month off, 4 weeks off to rebuild and rebrand is the word really I want to use, because we were getting stagnant. We weren't going anywhere with the numbers, so we were doing that, and we were even, much to his chagrin, we were doing video too. I was using a program called Riverside.fm, where we could record remotely from each other, because I live in Florida and Tim still lives in Michigan. My brother Paul lives in Michigan too. Hey, Paul, how you doing, brother? But anyways, it was one of those things where, hey, we could do this, and it automatically recorded video for me, so I just started editing video too. Learned that I like doing that. So that was fun. And after Tim and I were about, I don't know, number 95 in that, and Tim and I had a conversation, and I think we both agreed at the time that it was time to sunset that podcast, and that's what it's called in podcasting, is sunsetting. Not that we didn't have more to talk about, but there were other things that he was being, I don't want to say driven to or pushed towards, but he had other things he wanted to do, and we've been doing this for a while, and the numbers still weren't growing. But we were a very, very niche little podcast. So he agreed to go to 100, and we did 100, and that's a lot as far as I'm concerned. 100 podcasts, 1 a week. That's a lot when you think about it. In today's world, with everything going on, most podcasters don't get past number 10. Look at me. I have 2 that didn't make it to 10. This one will make it to 10 by the end of the week. And I don't plan on stopping this one, because this one's going to be a lot more fun than the first 2 I tried. But anyways, and the other ones were both. Tim was basically an interview show. We did some interviews too. Had some cool people on. But this one's just me. So you're getting me today. And on the Chat GPT list of things to talk about, for number 7, it says how technology has changed. Well, we haven't really gotten past my nostalgic childhood memories, or we haven't gotten past, favorite TV shows and movies. We talked about a couple of movies last time. We talked about War Games, and I think it was the Manhattan Project. But there's a lot of great movies that I really liked, and one of them, in fact, I own it. One of them is called Airport. Now, it's back in the early 70s, and it's set in Chicago. It starts in Chicago before Chicago's airport was named O'Hare. Back then, it was called Lincoln Field, Lincoln Airport. And it's about, of course, an incident on an airplane, but it's a whole lead up to and a whole follow through afterwards. And it's got a lot of stars from the era in it. And that, I watched that with my dad the very first time on television. We didn't go to the theater to see it. We watched it on television. Because eventually everything went to television. And it was just me and my dad, I think, that night. Mom, I think, was home, but she was doing something else. And when that movie was done, I said to my dad, I said, I want to work at an airport. That's what I want to do with my life. Now, I was a teenager, still in high school, I think, when that came out, or junior high. They call it middle school now. We called it junior high back then. But I made that dream come true. Now, the star of this show was the director of the airport. And I went a different route. I worked for the airlines. I had an opportunity, and I blew it, folks. I was approached by the airport authority to have a meeting, a lunch with a few people from the airport, and I took it the wrong way as somebody trying to hit on me instead of trying to get me a better job, because I had a very good reputation with the airport. I'd been around for quite a few years with Continental Airlines, and then with a charter company, and then I moved over to a service company for the airport where we did all the fueling on property, except for like 2 or 3. And we also did a lot of the ground handling for the airlines and the charter airlines. And I was approached, and I blew that one. That was all on me, and I can't regret it. I was married at the time, and I thought somebody was somebody was asking me out for lunch, and I took it the wrong way. And even my wife at the time said, "What did you do that for? Can you get that meeting back?" I go, "I doubt it. Not the way I said it." But anyways, life goes on, folks. Now I work for a large corporation in Florida, and I'm pretty happy here. And I don't live in the cold. I'm sorry. We get cold days, and it's going to get cold here tonight, but we don't get that cold. But anyways, we're getting into the time where we're here yet. So yeah, the movie Airport was one of my favorites. That had 3 or 4 sequels that were, they were okay. A lot of them are like, the original was great, and all the sequels are terrible. Well, in my mind, this is one of those. Now, some of them, like the movie The Santa Claus with Tim Allen, I think that one was good, and I think number 2 was better. And I think the third one was just a money grab for Disney, because I don't think it was all that good. I think it was it was just too silly for what it should be. It wasn't a kid's show then, or an adult with kids. It was just a money grab, because number 2 made money and number 1 made money. So what are you going to do? But I like movies like that. I also there's a movie A John Wayne movie I really, really love is called In Harm's Way. And it's about World War II in the Navy. So my tastes vary. When it comes to TV shows, one of my favorite TV shows was a show called JAG, JAG. It was about the Judge Advocates Corps, which is lawyers for the Marine and Navy, or the Marine Corps and the Navy, which of course turned into NCIS and a bunch of other ones. But I think one of my favorite of all time series was The West Wing. Now, I'm not going to talk a lot about politics on this show, but that was a democratically based show, but it was written by Aaron Sorkin, who is just phenomenal. Phenomenal. I could talk for hours just about what he does, but that's not what we're all about here. So if you don't know or haven't seen the movie Airport or In Harm's Way, look it up. I'm sure if you're alive today, you've heard of the movie The Santa Claus. But, and I'm sure you've heard of the show The West Wing. Great actors, great ensembles, great cast members, great audio and video editing. It's inspiring. So anyways, folks, that's my show for today. That's number 7. Again, don't forget to tell your friends about Gray Hair Dave. I'm here 5 days a week. And just 5 to 10, maybe 12 minutes of me chit-chatting with you, telling you what's going on in my life, talking about ChatGPT and what's going on in the world. So until next time, I'm glad you're here. Again, tell your friends. We'll be on Apple Podcasts soon. I got to get this figured out, but I've gotten 4 other ones up there. I don't know why I can't get this one up there. So we'll talk to you next time, which is tomorrow. I look forward to it. I hope you do too. Bye, folks.